The reviews for TCL TVs can be quite negative sometimes. On the other hand, that provides me with the opportunity to troubleshoot negative reviews. That's where we really find out what's wrong with the product. But first, how can this TV exist at this price point? Less than $700 for a 55-inch 4K up to 144Hz VRR TV? What's the catch? Just for background, TCL is subsidized by the Chinese government. We're talking billions of dollars. TCL's ambition is to attract you and I to these TVs with amazing features at a competitive price. And it worked on me. So I've seen TCL on these best 4K TV lists, so it's time to check out what the hype is about. Let's answer some burning questions. Out of the box, the picture quality is very good in Dolby Vision picture mode, and other picture modes are okay in some areas and good in others. It seems like every picture mode needs some adjustments to look better. In my opinion, the movie picture mode looks like the best option straight out of the box, but that's not saying a whole lot because I made some adjustments to make it acceptable for my own liking. For multiple modes, I didn't like how the color temperature was set to warm by default. That's really going to throw some people off during their first impression, so make sure you change that from warm to normal just so you can get a feel of how the color looks. It would have been nice to have the option to change the temperature and color in more detail, but I guess this is a case where I got what I paid for. Also, the contrast can really kill the shadows, but thankfully we can adjust that as well. The TCL R655 handles blacks very well, but that seems to come with an audible cost. More on that later. And to be honest, the Dolby Vision picture quality is very good, so this is what TCL is hanging their hat on. There's an app containing short videos that display what the picture quality is capable of. The cityscapes video is very beautiful and makes use of fine details, shadows, highlights, and light bloom. The action clips allow you to check out the motion clarity the 655 provides, and the Dolby Vision color clips really show what the color production is capable of. She-Hulk is supported by Dolby Vision, so I decided to rewatch an episode to check out the picture quality. Bottom line, I'm impressed that the Dolby Vision profile automatically detects Dolby content and switches to that profile. To get the most out of this TV, identify quality content that you consume and match it up to the features this TV provides. Don't get this TV and then turn to your local news that's broadcasting in 720p and be like, oh my God, this TV is trash. The brightness that this TV is capable of is really sabotaged by how reflective the screen is. If you have a white room or just a bright room with windows, this TV is not for you. You can see how the sunset hits my wall, and it was all I was able to focus on while watching a Twitch stream on my TV, simply because the TV was just so reflective. I thought I was tripping it and it was just me, but a Tech Radar article pointed out how poorly it handled reflections. Well, they worded it nicely, but it's not great. This TV really needs to be in a room where you can control the light. The darker, the better. However, at night, I'm very satisfied with how bright the TV can get. In different picture modes, at no point was I like, wow, that scene isn't bright enough. Let me turn that up. But also, I've never said, wow, this display is too bright. Let me turn that down. It's right where it should be. The sound on the 655 is standard quality. There are multiple sound profiles that you can select from, and with the bass option, you're definitely not going to feel the bass like you would with the standard sound system. The sound quality is good enough to be acceptable and not anything to complain about.
Almonds, feta, and lemon, and the cornbread with cheddar, guindilla, and confit garlic.
It's really interesting how you've brought your experience of being in this back to Melbourne and introduced an Texas barbecue.
In 2013, I went and did an internship over in Austin with a couple of doctors there, learned from those guys for about 8 weeks, and then
to take advantage of the sound, this TV is best paired with a sound system that supports Dolby Atmos. My sound system from several years ago does not support it, but boy, is it good. The only problem is other people have problems making their sound system work with this TV, myself included. The TV automatically detects its own speakers and the HDMI audio port. I bought this adapter because the 655 only has one AV input while my external speakers uses the red and white channels. When I plug in the optical connection, the speakers aren't recognized and don't play audio. I've checked out TCL support pages for these issues, but I haven't found a resolution. So I guess this is where I have to buy an HDMI audio adapter and make use of that fourth HDMI connection. Or finally upgrade to a sound system that this TV will play nice with. Now let's say you're trying to decide between the 655 or the 646 and you have a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. The up to 144 Hz variable refresh rate isn't going to do a lot for you because both systems only support up to 120 frames per second, meaning that the 144 variable refresh rate is rendered pretty useless, unless you use this as a monitor for your PC gaming, which would be insane. The good thing is, with VRR turned on, you can match your console settings all the way down to 48 Hz up to 144 Hz for a game, which realistically, like I said, is 120 Hz. And the auto low latency mode is very good. When I'm shooting in game, the input from my trigger is instantly shown on the television. If you don't want VRR and auto low latency mode turned on, you can go into your TV's input setting for that HDMI port and turn it off. While we're on the topic of ports, the TCL 655 has 4 HDMI ports on the back. The top two are HDMI 2.1 VRR 144 Hz. The third from the top is 60 Hz and the fourth from the top is 60 Hz with audio support. And as you can see, the TCL 655 doesn't have the full red, white, yellow AV support. Because of that, again, we have to use an adapter, which I'm still troubleshooting on my end. The LG C1 and C2 have 4 HDMI 2.1 ports and multiple USBs. I think they're able to do that because LG makes their own processors, therefore they're not as limited as these other manufacturers are. There's more to talk about, but let me take a second to reflect on the pros and cons that I've experienced thus far. I feel like the positives outweigh the negatives, but during the last several days, I've asked myself, should I return this TV? The pros are the colors and Dolby Vision, it being 4K 124 frames per second, well, 4K 120 Hertz, which supports 120 frames per second. It has VRR and ALLM, auto low latency mode. For me, those features made it worth it since it supports my Xbox and PS5. It handles blacks well, and I like the TV stand, the centralized look. Plus, it has cable management at the back. And lastly, I'll say the price for what I got. That's a pretty good value. Now, the cons are how reflective the screen is. Like, it should not look like a mirror, whether I have it on or off. This is the only TV in my house where the screen actually does look like a mirror. So that's a negative for me. It's also a headache to get my red and white audio cables for my speaker system to connect to this TV, even with the adapter that I purchased. So I have an HDMI audio adapter on the way. So hopefully that makes my speaker work with this TV and I don't have to go out and just buy something that, this TV wants me to use on it. Also, this happened while I was in the Dolby app playing one of their video clips that I was recording for this video. What was that? And lastly, I need to pay off that squealing sound. At the end of the day, I'm not going to watch a black screen for hours, and black loading screens only take a second or two. But let's address what the internet and return reviews are saying. So now we have to address a concern that is causing people to return their TVs. Already there are 2 Best Buy reviews that complain about a squealing sound. Here's the issue. When you turn the local contrast settings on high and view a black screen, there's audible feedback that you can hear. Here's what it sounds like. The picture that I have pulled up is pure black. It doesn't even look like the TV is on. And if you have the TCL 655 or 646 and want to test this, go to YouTube, search for a black screen video, play it, and listen with this setting turned on. You guys on Reddit say that it's a coil whine issue that affects the entire model. I can't confirm or deny that, but it makes sense. Especially since a review said they returned theirs for another one and it made the same noise on the high setting. I say it makes sense because the coils are working overtime to produce this black image. Maybe I'm just making something up. Again, I'm not a technical reviewer. This is just my experience. I don't know how common or not common this is with other TV models. Let me know in the comments below. The sound is even worse when you're switching between apps with a black screen. A good reproducible example is when you're loading the Dolby Atmos app from your home screen. Just listen to that transition. But there is a solution. If you go into your settings and change the local contrast to medium, the sound goes away entirely. It's silent. My UHD TV from 2015 doesn't have that problem, but then again, it doesn't have the same features that this TV has. And when I'm playing Fortnite on my PS5 in 120 frames per second, I hear that same audible feedback. So I guess this is just something I have to deal with.